Welcome back, FM Talk 106.5 and Mobile Mornings. Dalton Orwig here, and joined once again by Desi Tobias with Tobias and Comer Law. Desi, it's been a while. Glad to see you come in.
It's been a while, Dalton, but always good to see you, and I enjoy talking with you.
I enjoy it too, and we're here. It's summertime, and we've had already so many hot temperature days this year. And there's one thing I think about often on those days, and that's getting out on the water. And I know I'm not alone. Lots of people getting out for pleasure, and a lot of people work out there on the water. We have a lot of jobs out there, and I know at Tobias and Comer Law, with you guys being right here in Mobile, you've worked plenty of cases regarding both.
We have. Maritime law is something different. It applies when something happens on navigable water. A lot of people's employment is centered on the waterways, whether tugboats or out in the rigs or whatever. And so that's a certain set of laws that apply as opposed to the state worker compensation law. You have the Maritime Law, the Jones Act, unseaworthiness. It's very favorable for an injured worker. Also, the Maritime Law applies to what happens on a boat, a pleasure boat, a jet ski, whatever. There are certain things that are unique to the Maritime Law, whereas if you get hit in a car and you're 1% at fault, what's called contributory negligence, that does not apply. Maritime law has comparative fault. So there are tons of boats out there. There is a lot of maritime traffic coming in, commercial traffic. Very interesting stories about that as well. But things are happening, and we handle those type cases, those injury cases arising from that.
Yeah, and I want to talk about both, but let's start with the folks that are out there working. Generally, some pretty difficult and dangerous jobs out there on the water, and I'm sure you've seen some cases of that.
They're very difficult and dangerous, and it goes back to the law of the King of England. They got tired of the companies, the Hudson Bay Company, bringing back these injured people for the king to take care of after these long voyages. So there's law out there that's, again, favorable, and it can be anything. There are often bad injuries, but a lawyer who knows that law, and something I've practiced for many years, can consult or assist on those type things. It's interesting just in, if you're anywhere near the bay, you see the cruise ship going out, you see the big cargo ships coming in. All of them have these crews that are from other places. And we have interesting conversation I had recently with a ship's agent, how somebody will come in as a Filipino crew or whatever, and they'll want a TV or a watch, and those people are all here, part of our community for those days that they're here.
Yeah, wow, that's something else. I never really think about, where everyone came from that's working in all these different jobs. And with, that being such a big part of our economy, they're out there every single day, even in some rough conditions. And go back to, you were saying this is all from kind of based off of the law in England as it was?
Yeah, it's called the Admiralty Law and the General Maritime Law, which the United States adopted. And so it's law that has been not just made in the state of Alabama. It's a federal type law that applies everywhere. And so that's where you got to look to, as opposed to simply what a state says the law is. So, yeah, and there's just been this general body of it that has developed through the years. It's unique and different and is applicable to all these type instances. Again, whether it's a work accident where someone's working on a tugboat or towboat, or anything that's in navigable water, which is water that'll get you to the ocean.
Yeah, and I know you've had some stories about some of those cases that are just absolutely crazy that you've worked. But so someone who works out on the water, or an employer, they might know a little bit more about maritime law than someone who's just a weekender that likes to get the boat out there and go out for maybe half a day or a day. But maritime law also, as you said, applies for pleasure boating.
It does apply for pleasure boating. And what we see, people think about getting into a car, and you don't think about spending a day out drinking and in your car, but often that happens in boats. The commerce down there at the beaches and Orange Beach and that area, a lot of that has people out recreating and things like that. And sometimes they're just plain not careful. Sometimes they're impaired. But an injury can occur there, and we all know of instances where it does occur. And that law is different too. It's somewhat similar to the state laws that would apply to a motor vehicle accident, but there are some distinctions.
Yeah, and you mentioned one of those distinctions, and I want to hear a little bit more about this because it had me interested. So, in a vehicle accident on land, you said there's one way that's ruled if it's what would you say 1% fault?
Yeah, it's called contributory negligence.
Okay.
And a accident that occurs in a vehicle, sometimes perhaps you were going a little bit above the speed limit, and the accident happened because somebody ran the red light. But if you were going too fast or whatever, if a jury determines that you're 1% at fault, you lose your entire recovery. Whereas what's called comparative fault applies to maritime incidents and accidents. And that would be a jury would be able to consider, well, they were a little bit at fault. I'm going to give them 20%, and the reduction from the award would be made. So if you are awarded $100,000 and there's a 20% fault allocation, you only get 80. So, but it's an important distinction.
Yeah, and many distinctions exist and differences between the two different forms of, I guess, law. And if this does happen to someone, whether they're injured out at work or injured while out on the boat, having a good time, maybe are there different processes for when you should call a lawyer or what you should do? What kind of
No. It would be the same because anything involves the investigation. Evidence will disappear or not be there, just as just as a land-based thing. You want to get out and see the skid marks or whatever. You still want to see the evidence on land or with a maritime injury. So call a lawyer. Call somebody who knows, and we do that. Call somebody who knows about the rules and the regulations. On some of the more serious accidents, the Coast Guard does their own investigation, and they'll be contacting witnesses and whatever. I often have interacted with the Coast Guard in cases where I have clients that were injured to assist as part of the investigation. But all of that's something where you would want legal help, and that's what we do at Tobias & Comer.
Yeah, and it would be helpful, I'm sure, to go ahead and jot that number down and the website down and keep it in your glove box on land, or keep it in your boat when you're out there. What number can people call if they want to get in touch?
251-432-5001 is our phone number. TobiasComerLaw.com is our website. And I've been for 26 years at 1203 Dolphin Street, an old house built in 1852 right there, close to downtown, right next to the School of Alabama School of Math and Science.
So cool. 1852.
1852, and it's hard to believe that they made that house pretty good. It's still sturdy. The termites won't eat that house.
No, it's termite proof. And also, you mentioned the website, and I was talking with Brian about this, but you guys have so many great tips and ideas on there, and even stuff like boating. Some good, easy ways to remember to follow the law, like having life preservers for every single person that's on board, 8 and under. Make sure that they're wearing it at all times. And the website, it's really good, not just for getting information about Tobias & Comer Law, but also finding out about a lot of these different things.
Right. We do try to put out information that's helpful just to the general public. I believe there's some YouTube videos. You can also like us on Facebook. We are always posting something out there that's informative and trying to let our clients and people in the community know about things like that are important, that promote safety.
Oh, I love it. And I know a lot of other people love it too. So, Desi, I really appreciate you taking the time and coming in this morning, and always enjoy talking with you.
Dalton, enjoy talking with you. Great to see you again.